So Bambooka versus H-Dope. This is another matchup of which it's a player that we haven't seen a huge amount. Bambooka, again, qualified really early on, and he did use Superman to get the job done. The question is, again, does he go Superman, or has he just been training with other characters with the patch, or just with how the game has been changing in terms of meta? Does he think someone else fits the job? I mean, who knows?
I mean, we thought the same thing about Inspector Choz, before we saw him, having not seen him since the week he qualified with Atrocitus. And I mean, he showed us why he's still in this, right? And why he's still very much in the winner's bracket with just really clean, calculated, effective Atrocitus. And we could see the same thing here from Bambooka. Superman really is one of those characters in the game that, he might not be the absolute best character in the game, but he's very powerful. He's very strong. He has a lot of tools to get the job done. He's very flexible. He has a lot of options for a lot of situations in the game. That being said, Scarecrow, similar fashion, and H-Dope started with Aquaman before against Mirko, I think, just to try and not fight Scarecrow into Harley, but still, when it came down to him playing Scarecrow, it was the Scarecrow we've seen from H-Dope. The Scarecrow that made him qualify. So this could be a match of how is Bambooka going to deal with Scarecrow? Because in the week that Bambooka qualified, I don't think he had to fight any Scarecrows on the way in, and we know that H-Dope is probably used to the Superman matchup by now.
It's also a matter of having Superman experience and Scarecrow experience. There are definitely certain players that you can fight to get that kind of experience, and the question is, how ready is Bambooka going to be for Scarecrow? And that really is the bottom line, as you just said. Now, again, I'm going to ask you, Jim, if you play Aquaman and Scarecrow, and you are fighting what you know as a Superman player, it will be quite a running theme. What is the character you feel is maybe better for the job?
I think you could go either in this matchup, depending on how comfortable you are, although with the reduced to the pair of Superman's wake-up game, if you are able to get in a Scarecrow, then I think you're going to be able to make a lot more happen. So I think if you're more comfortable in the neutral against Superman, go Scarecrow, because you're going to be more rewarded if you get that hit.
I think, like I said, in many ways, like if you play Scarecrow and you're watching that patch stream and the first thing you hear is Scarecrow, no changes, but many of the other sort of like top tier characters, or the higher tier characters, I suppose, because Scarecrow is very, very dangerous, getting adjusted and your character stays the way he is, it's like happy days. I can now sort of just business as usual. But now, the change. Supergirl instead of Superman. Supergirl. Now, this is going to be a slightly different matchup again, but once more, if Scarecrow closes in the space, it's going to be able to sort of do what we all know this character can do, but
I can imagine this being quite stressful, though, on the side of Supergirl. I mean, just on face value alone, because we already know she's quite meter intensive, right? If you don't have a background bounce, it can take you quite a while to build up that damage. You need meter to get the freeze, to get a launch, and this stage doesn't have background bounce. But if you're always using your bar on push block, which is usually quite good, it can be a bit difficult, I think, to really keep your aggression going when you're spending all your bar on just keeping yourself alive with push block. And it's like you said, meter-intensive characters versus Scarecrow. It's dangerous because a very common way for dealing with Scarecrow from a defensive standpoint is to push block. Every single time you see Fear Wave, Supergirl kind of needs to spend her bar to go for that, the Frost Breath. So she kind of has to choose, do I do damage or do I hold the +6? I'm not quite sure, but you can see him just trying to chase him down at the moment. Oh, jump through's going to miss. And there's that use just trying to get that block damage on board. Bambooka with so much bar and walks straight into the Ice Breath.
That was very smart, actually. I think acknowledging that H-Dope was going to try and sort of press the advantage after blocking the maximum charge trait, and then immediately just going in for the Frost Breath, challenging the advance.
Oh, there's the block. Doesn't finish the string, though.
Now has a life lead, he can afford to sort of play that defensive game, but actually looking like he's not that interested. Down one into Frost Breath already. Early clash too. I mean, now H-Dope hasn't really got that defensive mechanism.
Oh, indeed, Bambooka has been all over him at the moment. It really is just controlling how this is going.
Now, from this full screen, normally you can see sort of teleports on reaction or prediction of a projectile. The only time I think that's actually going to work for Scarecrow is if Scarecrow opts to go for a teleport reaction of maybe sort of the charged laser. Other than that, Supergirl will recover in time, and now his back's to the wall. Tries to shimmy it with back 1-2. H-Dope not biting, but tries to press a button again. He is now in big trouble.
H-Dope just delaying wake up every time, not using wake up attack. Oh, back three's going to connect. A nice pickup. And H-Dope's going to get a full combo from that too. H-Dope still very much alive, but going to have his work out to get this life bar down off Bambooka.
Definitely. I mean, way more than 50% down. And wow, caught by the down one. I mean, he can maybe afford to go for an air tech here, but I don't think he's interested in it.
Oh, wow. Just a raw laser. That's going to do it. mean, Bambooka, we didn't expect to see Supergirl. We thought we'd see Superman, but Supergirl, very good in the game's current state. And if you know how to use her, especially in matchups like this, you could definitely make some damage.
Well, that's always the way. You know, it's when we saw Inspector Charles, we're like, well, it's been a while since we saw him. Has he perhaps moved on from Atrocitus, or is he still playing Atrocitus? Bambooka was very much of the same. We hadn't really seen much of him either. But on the flip side, he has decided to change. You know, he's gone from Superman to Supergirl. They have sort of similar game plans in terms of like their mobility, their ability to play keep away. They've got good mid strings. They both have those tools, but they sort of go about them a little bit differently. So the way Bambooka was approaching Superman in the neutral, as a Superman player, you can definitely pick up Supergirl and play her a similar way. You know, you just kind of just get a different pool of tricks and tools that you can go for. And right now, looking like a good change. Speaking of change, we have seen the switch to Aquaman. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Getting back into gameplay as fast as possible. And I'm definitely not gameplay, but this is excellent.
Still, though, actually no first hit has actually been taken yet.
You were saying, we have it now.
It's going to go to the side of Bambooka. We know how much he can do with that super bar. Already H-Dope has one himself. Oh, that instant jump over, but nice reaction trait for H-Dope to keep himself alive. But look at the amount of damage he just took on block from all that.
That's one of those huge things right in this matchup, is that because Frost Breath hits so many times, it's going to be quite a chunk of damage when you Aqua Armor, but on the subject of Aqua Armor, it's going to get around those air dash mix-ups, it's going to get around those Frost Breaths. If you get hit by a Frost Breath before the meter burn, you know, you're going to be able to escape because the back three you can block in time.
Wow. Oh, wow, yeah, you see Bambooka try to go for the instant crossover just to try and beat the wake-up, but still got hit anyway. But H-Dope stuck in the animation. I mean, Bambooka's looking super strong.
He is indeed.
I think his footsies really have been where he's just demanding this lead at the moment, right? He's just outspacing H-Dope at every opportunity. Only just built his trait, didn't use it. Didn't want to think he wanted to potentially not waste it there. Oh, and an instant crossover again. H-Dope, oh, look how much damage he's taking. The trait just made him take so much.
That hurt so good, and not even actually hit confirming into Frost Breath, probably trying to keep things unclashable. Again, H-Dope on the back foot. He's going to get a wake-up Trident Rush, but really, I mean, in this matchup, you can see that Supergirl doesn't seem to do too bad. I mean, we saw the damage of that charged laser versus Aqua Armor. That's a win for Bambooka every time.
Oh, there's a Amoeba Roll to try and get him, but I'm not quite sure if H-Dope can stop at this point. He has the trait, and there's the anti-air laser beam. Bambooka not looking phased at all. Completely in charge of this.
The switch to Supergirl has been very beneficial. And you said it yourself, if you've got a good neutral, you can play Supergirl to great effect. And that's exactly what we're seeing Bambooka do right now. It's just nice mix-ups. He's sort of just staggering nicely, sort of trying to shimmy H-Dope a couple of times.
I mean, he's standing on the ground and outfootseeing Aquaman. You know, Aquaman, who still has that amazing range on that back one, the back one too. He's so threatening, and he is consistently stopping him. Green Lantern, though, coming out from H-Dope.
I believe we did actually see H-Dope go for Green Lantern at Venality, if I'm not mistaken. So it's definitely a character he's played in a competitive setting.
We did indeed, so he must have some faith in it, but we haven't seen it in Path to Pro yet. But he does have to win 3 games. If he can win a game versus Bambooka's Supergirl here, then maybe that means he can win 3, but it's going to be difficult. But he needs to do it now if he wants to stay in the winner's bracket.
It's a tall order indeed. He's 2 games down, so no time to mess around. Already hit confirming into trait, though.
It's a nice start. That means in 3 games, H-Dope's played 3 characters. You know you need to be able to be good at adjusting on the fly if you're doing this.
That's one thing the Greek brothers do quite often, you know, K-Top and H-Dope. They're both 2 brothers that compete together, and they both have been known to change characters often.
But with good effect too, you know, it definitely doesn't phase them having to quickly swap between like this.
There's that setup. Oh, just a walk back. Would have been a block regardless, but you can just see the knowledge. You know, Bambooka displaying great matchup knowledge here about how to defend against these different options. Green Lantern covered in hard knockdowns.
A nice lively day from H-Dope. I think for the first time now can control how this match is going to go, in Bambooka having to try and come back from this.
Ooh. Wow. I actually was not expecting him to just get hit by a raw teleport there, but just jumping in over the wake-up wall too.
Yeah, the wall got beat clean. It's going to be a full... Wait, the life bar's gone. H-Dope looking really good now. Has just lost his trait, but not too bad.
Change to Green Lantern has been beneficial so far. That's that string being plus a block. Challenged! Wow, brave.
That's going to be a full damage combo. No, he drops it. H-Dope would have still been alive, but he's making his job a lot harder to do. There's the block damage. Oh, the air tech gets beat by the lift. H-Dope with the knowledge.
There's the low again. You expect the forward 3, such a common option, that instant forward 3. But then there's the low to chew it up.
Well, there's the bait on the teleport as well. Bambooka does have a clash, but, I mean, he isn't using it. Not quite sure if he's checked out, uses it a little bit late. Maybe he wanted to wait for himself to get 3 bars so he can use all 3 here, maybe?
Yeah, potentially, or he was waiting for the potential unclashable back 3, which is another possibility.
That's probably going to take the life bar, but I mean, that's an expensive way to take down that life. Bambooka now is going to have his trait full for a while, and H-Dope has his ready to go. And Bambooka now clashless.
That's the danger. Against Green Lantern, when he's got 3 bars of meter, I mean, if you can't clash from this health, you are in big trouble. Hang on. Here comes Bambooka.
Once again, good footsies coming out of Bambooka.
Now, even though the clash has come through, Bambooka will still have H-Dope's back to the wall. So if he can keep him here...
The question is, how can he do that? H-Dope, he burns a roll, mid-screen at the very least. Oh, that could have been a punish, but H-Dope a little bit late.
And I think Bambooka with a really good read, but no, caught by the back one again. Full combo. This time he's probably going to spend meter. Yes, he wants to kill on this, but no, drops the back 3.
Oh, bad dashing out the throw. There's that footsies again. H-Dope hasn't got a clash anymore. Bambooka can keep the sequence going, but it's going to be H-Dope. It's Green Arrow with a wake-up attack. What's the mix-up? Oh, no, wake-up.
Trying to push block to establish that space, but okay, the environment interaction saves the day.
Seems that Bambooka was ready for everything except the environment interactable. In that situation, he was ready for the back 1, he was spacing himself out to get over the projectile, but everything but the environment.
But again, it came down to what we've been saying throughout this tournament. If you get a bad start, as such, if you get a bad start, then even if you ever so slightly lose the next game, you can go into the next one thinking, right, well, if I just don't have a bad start, surely if I just keep playing this way, I'll be all right. Now, we can't forget this. He's changed to Superman. He's gone for a character change.
He has indeed, and that's the... Well, that's the safety net you get if you win the first game. You get that opportunity to get that final counter pick, but Bambooka, 2-1.
H-Dope, he is going to be familiar with this matchup, though. His brother K-Top does play Superman at a very high level.
And now he's kind of winning that full screen war, trying to build as much meter as possible, catching him. Every time Bambooka, I should say, gets hit by anything on the way in, he's just going to build H-Dope all that bar. But Superman knows a few things about building bar himself.
Absolutely. So consistently, you see Superman with 4 bars very early on, because the second you have to block all of his stuff, I mean, just look at the damage he's done already. Those lasers with the trait do so much damage. Bambooka.
See H-Dope trying not to overcommit to that forward 2 range. There's that full jump. Bambooka just trying to avoid at the moment as opposed to whip punish. Oh, delayed meter burn on the eye lasers.
Great trade for Bambooka. Absolutely. Only needs one more projectile on hit and he's going to take it. But wow, meter burn rolls straight through. H-Dope, I mean, at this stage, it's likely he might lose the round, but any damage he can do here is going to be fantastic for him.
Looks like Bambooka is just playing to make himself as hard to hit as possible, but it's working out for him as he now goes match point over H-Dope.
Quite expensive, though. Hasn't only just built 1 bar.
Uh-oh. I mean, he has to be so careful of little trades like that, though. I mean, getting tagged by any lasers whatsoever is going to make this so difficult.
Again, and that's a chunky exchange. 194 damage gone, and he had to spend his only bar. Or actually, no, yeah, 1 bar left, I should say, but he had to spend that just to take the round. He's going to happily want to keep that bar. And again, look how much damage he takes from those traded lasers.
I actually don't think we've seen a normal connect all round. I think it's almost been 100% projectiles from both players. Now though, Bambooka's starting to go in. Now he has this commanding life lead. He has the safety net behind him of a clash. And here's that pressure. H-Dope is just completely being overwhelmed.
Wow!
And again, wow!
That's looking like all she wrote. The meter burn back 3 connects, and because he got it on the slightly delayed wake up, really wasn't much H-Dope could do about that. And Bambooka, again, even though we'd seen such little of this guy in action, he moves on too. These early qualifiers looking just as dangerous as they looked at the beginning of Path to Pro, all the way up into finals.
I mean, the way he played Superman as well was so slow. It was a different style to Superman that we're used to seeing for sure, right? Not
very dry.
Yeah, a very dry style of Superman. It was almost exclusively projectiles and throws, but Superman can do that to you, and that is a really good way of playing on what you know people are afraid of, right? If you're playing it against someone as Superman, you know they're afraid of forward 2. What if you don't forward 2? What if the option they are respecting and constantly afraid of, because that's what every Superman player does, what if you all of a sudden don't do it, and they're respecting something that you have no intention on doing to them? That opens up, I suppose, that next level of trying to read, and that's what we saw, just almost like 5-6 throws back-to-back at the end. Bambooka really just rinsed that until it won him the game, because it worked. He took down as much health as possible from full range by just doing constant eye lasers, and when he knows he had H-Dope frustrated, most likely in that situation, and very low in life, he was able to go in and start enforcing some of more of this interesting style.
So H-Dope was put in a position where he had to sort of think on the fly what character fit the job, you know, because we just talked about how we've seen very little of Bambooka, and it's going to be hard to prepare for an opponent who you can't watch much of. If you're going to be in H-Dope's shoes, and you have characters, and he ended up settling on Green Lantern, which was his best chance, when you're on the fly and you've got to prepare for an opponent, what really dictates how you pick the character you want to choose against someone like Bambooka, who I don't think anyone was ready for him to pick Supergirl?
I think he saw what he was losing to in this case. He saw Bambooka's Supergirl was simply walking back and letting him hang himself. And he said, hang on a minute, I have a character that has a far-reaching low and a better walk speed, and I can use that to contest the space and then maybe force Bambooka to come off this game that I'm uncomfortable with. And kind of that's what he did. He started zoning and he started playing footsies.